Morning. Today we're talking about the ego. The ego. And a lot of people worry about the ego. Oh, my ego is so big. Or they think they haven't got one, which is more ego. So what is the ego? The ego is the false, as I see it, right? The ego is the false idea of the self. It's an idea, it's a construct that we've developed when we asked our mind, who am I? And it came up with all this. And there's nothing you can do with it, right? You know, in Indian ashrams and stuff, and in other places, they have this, smash the ego thing. And it really doesn't work. And it's really not necessary. I was in an ashram and there was service to do. I thought, I will clean the toilets. So I cleaned the toilets, and that also included cleaning up bird shit so that the guru wouldn't have to walk on bird shit. And I did that. And I did that for 3 seasons. And it's so funny because you think, oh no, this is going to be really humbling. I'm going to be really humble, my ego. But the ego can take credit or can make something out of anything. So the next thing, I'm feeling proud that I'm doing something. The great me is doing something so menial as cleaning the toilets for everybody else. So the ego can make capital out of anything. It can tell you you're great for doing something, and it'll tell you you're terrible for doing something. But basically, it's a false idea. Oh, it values you with everybody else. Oh, I'm better than this, I'm less than that. It's always this stuff. But it's maintained by internal dialogue. The internal dialogue evaluates you and tells you how you are relative to everything else. And as long as we identify as that, then we will suffer. However great we think we are, there'll always be someone greater who no doubt will turn up at exactly the most inconvenient moment. It never fully works, the ego. And it promises, and then you get what it promised, and it doesn't give you what you were supposed to be getting from it. Whatever you get from the ego crumbles just as you get it. So what to do? What to do? And the answer is simple. To recognize that there's something beyond the ego. There's another I. There's a deeper I. There's the I that is the I of the observer, the I of the witness. And, what I believe is that don't worry about your ego. Don't try and do anything with your ego. Be awake, be aware, watch, and have some vigilance about who you're being. Because who you're being that you are will give you how you get yourself. Who you're being that you are will give you how you get yourself. So if who you're being is that I am the part I'm playing, that will give you how you get yourself. You will really identify as that and then have to face the consequences. So if just by being vigilant and pursuing the I, the true I, the I am, then naturally your relationship and your identification with the ego will diminish. And as you awaken more and more, you'll be able to see if you're being driven by it or not. It's a subtle thing. But as you awaken, your discernment, your ability to see that will increase. And then it's a matter of your own integrity. Do you want the fruit of being in your ego, which is limited and has consequences? Or do you want to relinquish that and come into the I am? Now, sometimes we don't. Sometimes what the ego promises is we feel driven to go for. And this is where it comes in, what the great psychologists have said, which is that what you're unconscious of drives your life. Otherwise, we'd all be getting what we consciously want, but we don't. Why is that? Because your unconscious drives your life. Your unconscious drives your life. And we have unconscious desires and compulsions and things that need rebalancing. But how can we, if it's unconscious that's driving us, what can we do? Well, the answer is become conscious. You're either being driven by your unconscious or you're consciously driving. And to be consciously driving, you have to be conscious of that I am. And then, as you spend less and less time in the unconscious, being driven by the past, being driven by all that psychological stuff, then your relationship with it, you pull the energy out of it, and of its own accord, the ego finds its proper place. As long as we're in a body, in the drama of this life, there will be some sense of ego. There will be some sense of the part you're playing. And that's fine. The thing is not to be identifying as the part that you're playing. Oh, I'm this, I'm that. I'm not as good as that. I'm better than that. Not to be identifying as that. You'll have to be playing a part, but not to identify as it. To identify as the observer, to identify as the deeper I am. This deeper I am is not ego. This deeper I am is the observer. It needs nothing. It is complete. The ego is not complete, so it's always trying to get complete. The ego is not fulfilled, so it's always trying to get fulfilled. But this I am is fulfillment. The ego is not free, so it's always trying to get freedom. It's always different ways. There's never full satisfaction as the ego. And the ego is always telling you why it is that there's not full satisfaction. I remember seeing a program where Elton John had just performed to 100,000 people, and they were all going, "I'll turn," and it was full on. His ego was fully adored, and then he came off stage, and it wasn't enough. He said, "I can't relate." It wasn't enough. The ego wasn't fulfilled. It hadn't shifted him, hadn't fulfilled him. But one moment, one good moment, as this I am, and a fulfillment immediately starts to unfold. Goodness immediately starts to unfold. Wholeness immediately starts to unfold. So what we were looking for in the ego but could never find, President Trump, trumpeting about, full of power and bluster, but no satisfaction. It hasn't fulfilled him. He doesn't want to go because it hasn't worked. He still hasn't got what he came for. And what he came for was a feeling of fulfillment. What he came for was a feeling of satisfaction, a feeling of wholeness, to be who he thought he was. But it hasn't worked because it can't work, because he's looking in the wrong place. But one moment as this I am, coming back into that beautiful place of the observer. And that place is full of love. That place is peaceful. That place is clear. Always. It's not like sometimes it's clear and sometimes it isn't. The observer, the witness, is always complete clarity. It doesn't change. The ego is sometimes clear. The egoic self is sometimes clear, sometimes not. It's always got different agendas bubbling up from different levels. It never knows really quite what it's doing. It blunders and blusters. But the I am, the witness, the deeper one, that one is clarity. That one is freedom. And coming from that place is so wonderful. What the ego promised and could never give, the sense I am, the observer, the witness, immediately blesses us with. And we recognize I am this. I thought I was that, and it caused me suffering. So much pain. Oh, I'm so not good enough. Everybody's better than me. Or any number of a huge range of thoughts that the ego feeds us, either to lift us up or to bring us down and keep us in bondage. The main thing to understand, though, that whatever you think the ego is going to bring, it isn't. It isn't. It doesn't. So a lot of effort. It takes a lot of effort to pursue the ego's drives, but the fruit is never what was offered in the beginning. However, pursuing this I am, this beautiful place, recognizing the witness, coming from that place, that beautiful simplicity, that clear seeing, that real confidence. Confidence that's not bravado. The ego is bravado, a kind of bullying bravado. Whereas this I am, that I truly am, is confidence. I can have confidence in that. It's the truth. Con with Fide's truth. It's with the truth. Confidence. A lot of people come to me in my readings and they go, I feel, I've lost my confidence. And that's what happens. You identify with the wrong thing, and your confidence in it will leave you just when you need it. But where is the source of confidence? True confidence is here, in this beautiful place of I am, behind the persona. Behind the persona is not who you are. The masks you wear in your play, in your acting, that's not who you are. You're the one behind the mask. What form do you take as the one behind the mask? What form do you take as the one behind the mask? Awareness. I am looking out. And are you bothered by what you see? No. Are you upset when you observe your emotions disturbed? Are you upset when you observe your emotions disturbed? No, you're not. The I am is glorious and remains calm. It doesn't fluctuate. It gets deeper and deeper, but it doesn't change. What a paradox. We can put down the ego. We can put down the psychological self. We can put down our wounded self. This I am can never be wounded. People talk a lot about the wounded child. Oh, I've got a wounded child in a box hidden away in my deep unconscious. And it's crying and I need to let it free. But that could be, it's such a long process that. It's a construct. It's not actually true. There isn't actually a child in there that's crying. It's a veil. It's a construct. And the light of the I am presence, that you truly are, burns that whole nonsense completely to pieces. It dissolves it totally. and you become integrated as a being, a living being in this moment, not someone still being infected by a misunderstood past. There's a great temptation to try and sort out the psychological self, and some work done on the psychological self is very helpful. But it's not the pathway to knowledge. And that's the point. There were people back in the day who, paid enormous sums to therapists over years and still never found the self. You've got this self is the quick way, it's the immediate way to total sanity, to total awakeness, to fulfillment, to joy, to clarity, to love. And this is the self that we want to express, not some broken child, which was just an idea, an enticing idea that kept our focus in the wrong place. How to get back to the I am. A very simple method. There are many methods, but there's a very simple method that the Ramana Maharshi talked of. And I use it a lot. It burns up. It's amazing. It's so simple that the ego goes, no, it can't be that. No, I'm not doing that. But it's absolutely amazingly simple. If you're ready, if you want to move into a deeper place, it's not a habitual place. The I am has no habit. The ego self, the psychological self, is full of habits, conditioned responses to everything. The I am is spontaneous. The I am is free-flowing. So this method, which we'll try now, is you just sit still with your eyes open, and if your eyes are open, fix them on a point and try not to blink, just keep focused. If your mind is very racy, having your eyes open and fixing them on one point and not blinking, that's your intention. That's quite a good way of getting your concentration levels up quickly. It wakes you up immediately. You focus, don't move, keep the focus. Or if you already are kind of focused and awake, then you close your eyes as you please. But once you've got yourself aligned, your intention, what is your intention? To become this I am, to recognize the I am that you truly are. That simple place from which you breathe, from which your thoughts arise, from which you view this world, from which you hear this world, from which you sense this world, from which you experience your mental states. So the simple way to do it is just to go say the word I, and notice what happens. That's the point. You say it, and can you see that by saying it, something actually happens? So do you just say, you do it mentally or out loud? I. And keep going. Now, if you do this earnestly, say you did this earnestly, with full attention and noticing what is happening for an hour, you would be blown away by what happened. We did this a few days ago, and someone wrote back to me, said, I did it. I did it for 5 minutes, and I had the most amazing experience. This kind of sense of my heart, a sense of burning, a sense of returning, a sense of quietening down, a sense of coming out of the ego self, the chattering ego self, which is only made of thought and commentary, and coming out of that and coming into this place. Remember, what the great mystics have said is that this supreme state, samadhi, is like sleep, except you're awake. It's like a clue. And it means when you bring everything back into the heart, where it returns in deep sleep every night, deep dreamless sleep, there's no consciousness, just awake. So you bring it all back, but you're actually awake. And that's the return to the heart. But even going, I, brings your attention back in the direction that you want to be going in. And very soon, if not immediately, you feel this incredible sense of I am. And resting as that, the great wonder starts to unfold of what is the self, and where is the self, and what is God, what is the over-self, what is the totality, and how does myself relate and connect with that. And that must be experienced and realized. And when you experience it and realize it, then your relationship to your ego automatically and naturally shifts. Then your relationship with your life automatically shifts. Your relationship to love automatically shifts. Your relationship to gratitude automatically shifts. And then sorrow and suffering depart. And you find that it's been a long time since you really suffered. That even, it doesn't mean that everything goes right, but when things go wrong, you have enough awakeness not to suffer about it, to have the true perspective on it. A lot of people don't have that at this time, and so they're really suffering. A lot of anxiety. Oh my God, we're all going to have to get injected. Oh my God, it's, they're going to genetically alter us. There's some big bad people who are trying to take over the world, and put, it's all terrible and what, and all this stuff coming. What's the correct response to that? Well, you don't need to respond to that. Just be who you are. I. What Ramana Maharshi was saying is that for people who are really busy, and I think it's great. He said, just go around the whole time as you're doing things, and you'll find that your perspective shifts. You'll find that you just start flowing as that I am. As that I am presence. You stay in that I am presence. From where your breath arises. But chances are when you really come into that I, your breath will come very, very still. Breathless, deathless state. And you'll touch on what wasn't born and won't die about you. You touch on the very core of your being. You touch on the very essence of yourself. And there's a fire there. And soon you become familiar with the presence of the I am that you are. And then you may be able to just find it just on a thought. Oh, yes. And it gets easier and easier to return to this place. And you recognize the benefits of doing that more and more. And you realize that actually you're quite safe to put everything down. You don't have to be carrying your cross. When I was in Jerusalem, I came to Old Jerusalem, and I came around the corner, and there was like maybe 10 full-sized crosses, like crucifixion crosses, all stacked up against a wall with little wheels on the bottom. And basically people had hired the crosses for the day and had been walking around carrying their crosses. And then at the end of the day they put them up against this wall. And we are like that. And the invitation from life is saying, hey, put your cross down. You're not going to resolve it. Just put it down. You don't have to carry it through all of your life. Put it down. Be free. Be free by putting it down and recognizing something that's deeper than all of that. Who you think you are. When you're in a good mood, you think you're great. When you're in a shit mood, you think you're shit. So which are you? You're neither of that. You're not who you think you are. You're behind that, within. Rest is that. Feel that. Examine that. Inquire into that. Who am I? Am I broken? No, I'm not broken. Am I whole? Yes, I'm whole. Am I free? Yes, I'm freedom itself. Am I at peace? Yes, I'm at peace. And these are the treasures of the I am that you are. And everybody's got them. This is what's incredible. Everybody's got them. This world has got nothing in it. Everything you get from it, you give it. Everything you get from this world, you gave it. The wonder when you walk out in nature, that's your wonder, reflected back by the beautiful nature. The meaning you find in things, you give it that meaning. Because the truth that is seen in complete and total stillness of the witness of the I am is that it's all completely empty. Nothing emanates anything. So self-realization comes from being this self. And from that perspective, what is seen. Without filters and biasness and influences of the past. You see it as it is. It's self-evident. Once you take your glasses off. The glasses of the ego, the glasses of the past, the glasses of your dependence on thinking to decode life. There's another way, which is seeing directly. Okay, well, I hope that you've been able to receive this transmission. Aye. You can come into this moment so precisely, just on an eye. There are many methods. This one really works. Don't make your freedom a long way off. Definitely don't make it in another lifetime. Have it that it's due right about now. The full thing is due for you right about now. I'll see you tomorrow, hopefully.